Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Ritch Talks. I'm Mitch.
I'm Rob.
Today is the importance of social competence. Okay, well, listen, it's a trying subject for us both at the minute because, life situations. But what is social competence? Well, in terms of life, like it's like your communication skills. This is what I believe anyway. Communication, your ability to walk into any room and be part of a conversation, like socially, your ability to not whittle away into a corner when there's a social situation going on. When you have emotional intelligence and understanding of what a conversation is about. Rob, you define it now for me. Done it? Bosh.
Yeah. I think I can add to that. So it's definitely those things. A little bit of active listening, because then you get an understanding of the circle where you're in, the environment, and conflict resolution, when you're able to see what the situation is. So you're assessing the situation and knowing that you can bring it down with your communication and just talk things out. Example would be for me members, angry members when they're standing in front of you. It might be a price increase, or you're telling someone to move out of the disabled spot and they don't want to move out of the disabled spot. We had that many times, and people wanted to punch me over it. But when you're able to just communicate on all levels,
I would like to see him try as well. Do you know what I mean?
Communicate on all levels and bring that down. So the last one would be the adaptability of that situation. Combining all those things into one is your social competence.
Mm-hmm. We bring this forward because I think it was a random Tuesday. So it was this week. So we're filming this on the Friday. The Tuesday, okay, it hit me. I was like, shit, since leaving a really social job, I have at least become 10% less socially competent. And it's only been approaching 2 months now that I've left a really socially butterfly job. And I'm like, shit, I've noticed a difference. I'm like a bit more timid in some situations. I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with me? What's happening? What's changing? This is why we're bringing this to you today. Like, the importance of it is because it's a skill, but it's like you have use it or lose it type shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you build massive delts and then you don't work out for a year, well, your delts aren't going to be as big.
They can.
Do you know what I mean?
Let's go back to that, because our previous episode we mentioned it. So if I'm talking about this and you don't understand it, watch your previous episode. You're 7 out of 10 in that skill.
Yeah. And
you don't just lose the ability to communicate on all those levels. You might be rusty, or you might find a social situation, daunting at first.
Yeah.
Again, we spoke about it just before the podcast. And let's think back. So we both like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We both like other fitness sports, but Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu we have in common. If you haven't done that for a while,
mm-hmm.
but you were used to going 2 or 3 times a week consistently, but then you miss a period of not going for a couple of months, and then you get back into that environment, it's daunting for the first time. You're like, oh, I'm not too sure about it. And you sort of, I'm doing the body language, and you go into a recluse. But then after you've been doing it, you're like, oh, it's not so bad. You get a bit overwhelmed, and then you get a bit comfortable in that situation. And now you get your social competence back.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still a 7 out of 10, but you become rusty. It's just about getting back into those social situations consistently. It's not just about going for that one big social event and building yourself up for it and getting really nervous and then your social battery's drained.
Yeah.
It's about putting yourself in a situation where you know that it doesn't have to be big social environments. It doesn't have to be parties and things like that. It could just be going to the gym and talking to random people. Like today, I went for...
That's more of a fear for most than parties, I think.
I know, but I went for a swim, and in the changing rooms, there's a guy that was swimming in the same lane. We just got talking. And it turns out he owned his own business. And he was talking to me about fitness, because he saw me swimming at a good level. And he said, oh, you're swimming so quick. And I said, to be honest, that was just a one-off because I was doing my speed test. So sometimes you go... For example, today I went in for a speed test of swimming. So I swam really fast today. But normally I don't do that. But it's that highlight reel that someone that sees. They go in and see, oh, you're really fast. Well, no, that's because I put all my training into one performance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that for social situations. If someone's normally social and they go to a social party, you can see the social person. You can see who has that now sort of 9 out of 10 skill. Mm-hmm. And you can see the people that haven't been doing it for a while. You can see the awkwardness in their approach. And that brings us on to what social competence does for you.
Oh, honestly, levels. It's I don't think you'll see a bigger improvement in your life than going from socially uncharismatic to socially charismatic. If you make that jump, genuinely, I think the reward is almost, especially for a bloke. I don't think it doesn't apply as much to a woman. I actually think there might be some diminishing returns if a woman becomes too outgoing. Like, I don't know what you think of that, but men in particular, when you become the leader, the all-encompassing boss of your own life and your own situation, genuinely, no better feeling.
I don't know. Actually, I'd argue that for a woman, it can be a bigger pro for them. Yeah, because let's take it. Women are social anyway, but they're amongst women. Right? They go out, and men are social amongst men. You know, so we tend to stick to our own gender. There are cross-gender social occasions, but if you see a woman that can really communicate to a man, on a group of men in all levels, that's admirable. That is admirable. If you've got a woman that can really stand in front of a group of men and hold that circle, and everyone's listening to what they're actively listening to what this person has to say, and they've got something interesting, engaging, that in itself that's an aura. That is, and for a man,
aura is a good word. I like that.
Yeah, so for a man to do that, it's just kind of a given, because we are seen as like the dominant species on the generic scale.
Don't even need quotation. No, men are the dominant. Men are the dominant gender in terms of physically and physically leadership.
But that doesn't mean to say that
we're better. It doesn't mean to say we're better. It just means we are.
But socially
more dominant.
No, not even socially. No, we are deemed more.
But the most socially
metaphorically,
the most socially dominant people in the world are men. And there's not even like.
So therefore, if a woman does it, and it does it well, therefore I wouldn't say there's diminishing returns on it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that's.
But most of our conversation is aimed at men, just because we have a better understanding of our own gender.
Yeah,
we're living it.
Yeah, we really do.
That's probably where more of our audience will be males.
And we can speak to that more because we are men. Like I was a bit of a neek 5 years ago. Neek meaning twat. To be honest, I was a bit of a twat 5 years ago, and
5 years ago,
5 minutes ago. So I pretty much I couldn't speak to anyone on a socially competent level. But I'd argue till I was about 21, and I'm now 24. So there's not exactly the biggest of gaps here. Do you know what I mean? It's been about 3.5 years since I could formulate a conversation.
That's your personal growth.
No, and that is a big personal growth.
So what have you done since then? So let's break it down, because this is a good point for people to make. There's not just one day you wake up, now I'm socially competent. There's steps that you have to take. And so what would you say was your biggest step that put you from that situation into,
It's the comfortability in yourself. I think it's the ability to.
Yeah, but how did you gain confidence?
I gained confidence from honestly delusion.
But honestly, but that's your internalization of how you did it. But practically, physically, how did you do it? Okay. I think I have the answer for you.
To be honest, in my head, what I don't know. When I was 21, 22, okay, I just started believing I was the shit, and then because you almost are what you act.
Yeah, but what job did you do?
I became PT.
You became a PT?
Yeah, I became a PT.
At that point?
But no.
At that point?
No, but I became a PT. I think I qualified to be a PT when I was 20. Yeah, I was 20 when I could have worked in a gym. But there was a year buffer when I worked as a PT. But you're more so, it's such a social job that you do gain a lot of social cues, and you gain a lot.
This is where I'm going with that. So you put yourself in an environment where you had to be social, otherwise you weren't there you weren't going to be successful.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true.
So that is, you were practicing, you were training, you were in training. Mm-hmm. You're always in training. There's never a point where you'd be like, I'm first in a race. It doesn't get to that point with social communication. It doesn't get to that point with those sort of skills. So where I'm going with that is, if you are socially incompetent,
yes,
you need to put yourself in a position where you can gain social competence.
Yeah.
And being in an environment where you have loads of variety of people. And
do you think we're lucky? Because the thing is, there's not many social jobs as much nowadays, and we worked probably in a place where where you are incentivized to be a social creature.
But it's not lucky when we chose to be there.
Or do you think
So
we're
lucky because of the skills that it brings you and what those skills can do for your life? Yes.
It makes us more of an outlier in life because we could, like, admittedly less so, but I feel like both of us could probably go into a room and hold our own in any conversation there is. And that's why, well, especially if it's a social conversation, maybe not if you're talking to Elon Musk about fucking finances, but in terms of you can go into any room and hold your own socially with anyone because you can speak to different people of all different ages, of all different kinds, of all different backgrounds, all different abilities. It means, because there's not many people in society doing that anymore, it almost, I think, personally, gave us a leg up in life.
Yeah, we're versatile. So previous episode. But versatility, I being a comedian and having my social competence, combining the two now, I can walk into any room and fit in. I can just equally sit back and listen and entertain someone talking about something that I don't give a shit about. Mm-hmm. And I can entertain that and I can be engaged. So I can actively listen and combine all those things that we explained what social competence is. And draw from certain areas of that and really enhance that. My partner actually sometimes relies on me to be at social events because of that skill that I have. Mm-hmm. And it's a shoulder to lean upon. Yeah. Because if you know that you're the friend that is a recluse, that is a bit more, socially incompetent. Let's keep using that word. You're going to rely on the people that you know are more social than you in those situations. So learn from them. What are they doing? How are they doing those things? Or how are they acting? Learn visually. Ask a friend, how do you become to be like that? For me, I've just always been a part of sports, and team sports is a big one. Team sports is a big one, and you can do that. So if you don't have to put yourself in a job where now you're in an environment that's more social. If you work in an office, fine, that's absolutely fine. Or if you work from home, that's absolutely fine. But what are you doing in your spare time? Do you go to social events like clubs, sports clubs? Go and join a local run club. Go and join a local, whatever it is.
Can we caveat this?
Book club.
Can we caveat this with whatever your chosen third space is going to be? If you want to become more socially competent, make sure that there are more than 10 people at this gathering, because then you can start to speak to many different people of different ages, different sizes, different fucking abilities, different languages. Maybe you speak to a diverse range of people. And if you don't speak to a diverse range of people, if all of you have this one fucking thing in common, and it's like your main social habit, then it's not really going to do anything for you socially. This can happen a lot in jiu-jitsu. This absolutely can. You get just a lot of people in a room who could be just so focused on just jiu-jitsu and then not be a social element of it, that it doesn't actually improve your social life. But if, for example, us as PTs, when we spoke to having different sessions with all these different kind of people, that improves our social life because we're speaking to so many different people about so many different things. If you speak to so many different people about the same thing, your social confidence is not going to change.
Yes, and if you surround yourself with the same people all the time, you're only going to have a one-way conversation. Yeah. And it's only going to go that way. You're going to talk about the same things all the time. It's only going to be the same views from the same people, the same beliefs. What you need is diversification. And diversification where, me and you speak and we challenge ourselves on our beliefs, we challenge ourselves on that. So we get a good bounce of ideas from each other. We challenge our social competence. Yeah. But we also speak to different people. I like to speak to elderly people. Why elderly people? Because they have a different view on how you should live your life or how they live their life. Mm-hmm. And that's absolutely fine, because you're going to hear their past experiences, what history it was like for living in different times. Then speaking to younger people. Well, you're much younger than myself.
Well, not much.
You are. I'm 8 years older than you. That's a big age gap. Yeah. For people, that's absolutely fine. Doesn't mean you can't get on with people that are different, because you just have to be on a similar wavelength in terms of how you carry yourself. We like personal development. That's the reason why I'd say we have a main that was our main brunt of our relationship. Mm-hmm. That we want personal growth, and what we're trying to do now is to better ourselves every day. So small steps to better ourselves. But by speaking to people that own their own businesses, how they do things, and just a broad spectrum of where you can go to different people and get different aspects of conversation is going to grow your mind span.
Yeah. What will come? What do you think will come of someone? So say something, for instance, because again, my experience of going from socially inept to socially somewhat competent is changed my life drastically. But what are some of the rewards, do you think, of being socially competent? Because I think instantly your ability to attract a relationship, whether it be friends, sexual partner, business relationship, just tenfold. So you're gonna make more money. You're probably, if you're a bloke, you're gonna have more sex. Like it, just say it how it is, and you're going to have more friends, and you're going to want to, and people are going to be around you more. So your life is going to tenfold. Thus, for creating better mental health for yourself. Thus, for creating more opportunity in life. You're going to have more friends. You're going to have more potential partners. You're going to have more fucking money. Everything is a plus for being socially competent. I can't think of a negative to being more socially competent, apart from the fact maybe someone's going to get offended at what you say. Because you just speak what you might like. This has happened to me like on so many different occasions. Like I cannot explain how many people I've pissed off and offended in the last 2 years. Like you're probably could vouch for me on this because you were around me for most of it. Like yeah. I have annoyed or pissed off so many people in the last 2 years. But to be honest, I don't really give a shit because like
yeah, you got to have elements of empathy. I think there is that as well. So it's not just about going out of your way to piss people off.
Yeah. Oh no, never intentionally.
It's never that. Again, gauging someone's I suppose, what's the word I'm looking for? How they carry themselves.
Gauging that aura.
Yeah, aura, and before you even first impressions. The first impressions is everything. So this is where I was going with this. The point. You're going to make a big impact on someone by having social competence is the impact you have on people and the first impressions that you create. Mm-hmm. And that might not be good for some people, and it might be really good for other people. So your first impression is going to be how that person sees you for the short term until they get to know you a little bit more. Yeah. So a lot of people, when they meet you, you're quite full on for people. That can be a negative for some people, or that could be a big plus.
No, we'll touch on that as well. Part of social competence is the fact that you've got to know who you are to the point where if someone has an adverse reaction to who you are and what you are as a socially competent human being, you can't care.
And it doesn't change how you carry yourself. It doesn't change your behaviour. A lot of people will look for external
validation.
Yeah, validation. Validation is the word I'm looking for. And if they don't get external validation or they get judged, sometimes they change their behaviour for a negative. And that's not how they truly want to be. It's just they're trying to fit in. And fitting in doesn't always mean that you should have to change your behaviours. You don't have to fit in with some circles. It just means it wasn't right for that circle.
It's true.
You can go to the next circle and you can fit in exactly how you were going to be behaving in a previous circle, but because you change your behaviour, that's going to affect how you then go forward because you think that's the way that you should be acting. So you start changing your behaviours for a negative, or not. That doesn't really sit with your internal views of how you want to be as a person. So that's what I've come to realise is that the way I behave is how I want to be going forward. Yeah. And if someone doesn't like it, unfortunately, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to please everyone.
Yeah, no.
And if you don't live how you want to live or within your means, it's going to affect you mentally. And it affected me mentally for a long period of time because you're looking for, again, external validation from people that you shouldn't be getting validation from in the first place.
Yeah, no. I've actually always said that. I've said this to many people. I think if someone doesn't like you, Robert Creary, then I actually think that's a judge on them. Because I can't think of many things wrong with you. So if someone doesn't like you,
there's people that I say that about, and there's a couple of people that I have in mind, and if they don't like that person, there's something wrong with them. With me, I know I have some. Everyone has their flaws, but my flaws, I would say, are sometimes being too honest with people, sometimes being too straight to the point, and telling people how it is. I do have a lot of empathy, so I try and change the way I communicate with some people if I know they are going to be offended if I say things direct. But I'm not trying to fit in with everyone.
No.
So I know that there are going to be people that don't like me, but I don't care.
Yeah.
And not for the reason because I want to offend them, but I don't care if they don't like me for being myself.
Yeah, you can't.
Whereas there are other people who you just you genuinely can't dislike because they do fit in, but that might be to their own demise.
Mm-hmm.
That might be because they're living life, but not within their means. But because they're so nice and they're fitting in with every circle, like you can't not like them, but they may not like how they're carrying themselves.
Yeah.
But again, they might like it.
I actually think obviously you want to end up being the all-encompassing charismatic enigma that leads every single conversation you've ever spoke about. But if you have a choice between just fitting in and being fucking Marmite, genuinely, for your own mental sanity, being Marmite would be better, because the likelihood of you having that as something someone describes you as being Marmite and not being self-confident and being socially competent as a result of that is so slim, in my opinion. It's if someone's gonna someone loves or hates you, but that person is 100% themselves, that's way better of a scenario or an outcome than just being somebody who fades into the background of every social conversation, doesn't really know who they are, and really lets other people's opinions affect them. I think the Marmite option is far better than the fucking Neek option.
Well, very often, the reason why people don't like you in the first place is because you're acting in the way that they wish they could.
Yeah, and that bothers
they
a lot of
don't
people.
like that about them themselves, so they project it on someone else by just speaking out or being negative towards that person. And often you see it online nowadays that there's always negative comments. Someone will act in a certain way. It might be that they're doing a charity event.
Yeah.
And something that's really good. You can't really see someone doing a charity event as being bad. You'll scroll through and you always see a negative comment about, they're only doing it for, social rewards and things like that.
Yeah, social rewards.
What? Why would you even think to comment like that in the first place? But it might be because they wish they could do a charity event and be seen in a good light amongst a broad spectrum of people.
They're socially incompetent.
But they're socially incompetent enough to do it.
Yeah.
So I think you shouldn't care. But bring it back round, so going full circle, gaining social competence is just going to evolve your life for the better. But you are going to have people that you fall out with.
Right. So I say to you, Rob, 3 actionable quick steps to gain some resemblance of social competence. I'll give mine, you give yours. So, speak to a random person on the street. If you're a man and you're single, ideally a woman, because that is a built-in fear and mechanism that you're going to have just because it's just the way society is.
You don't have to chat them up.
You don't have to chat them up. Just speak to them. 2, put yourself in an environment where you are in a group of 10 plus diverse individuals. So it might be jiu-jitsu. Like, you might go into a good dojo where there's lots of different and sociable people. Go into a fucking swim club or a run club, as we say. Do a gym class. Say, for instance, you're a member of Pure Gym. I don't know, yeah? Do a Pure Gym body pump. I hate body pumps. Shit. But socially, it's good for you, okay? And third thing, practice believe in your own shit, because then whatever scenario you're put in socially, you're just going to be able to own the situation. That's my 3 actionable steps. Even if the third one is you have to delude yourself into believing you're the fucking man. Well, it's better to delude yourself into thinking you're the man than not thinking that you're the shit. Because I guarantee you that will give you more positive outcomes in life than that. So delude yourself if you have to. Rob, your go.
Okay. I'd say the first one is to broaden your vocabulary. So learn different words, learn a new word. If there's words that you continuously use that might be negative, look for ones that will spin it into a positive. Or any words, look at the thesaurus and choose a different word that you might be able to utilize that might be deemed superior to the word that you're continuously using.
Yep.
Why? Because once you start utilizing different words, you'll be able to expand on the sentences and expand on your own emotional intelligence. When you can have a broader vocabulary, you are able to explain yourself how you're feeling a lot better. And that will only lead to better social communication. And secondly, if you know you're a negative person, you need to flip your mindset. So if you take every situation and you go, I can't, or I'm just not good at this, or you build things up to, I'm just a bad person. Well, you need to flip that mindset in every situation. You need to start thinking, it's not I can't, it's I'm not good at this yet, I'm learning. I've made a mistake, but how can I react to this mistake? Or if I'm going to a big social event, it's not, I'm such a recluse and I'm just not good in these environments. It's, okay, this is a chance for me to be better. This is a chance for me to improve my skills. Okay, I hope you can see where I'm going with that one. And thirdly, it's going to one-off events. So you mentioned about going to different sports clubs, and I think that's really good. Going to team environments, but you know you're going to consistently see those people week on week. So therefore, your first impression is one that you're going to judge yourself on. You're going to already have a certain agenda going to one of these events because you know that people are going to continuously see you. So when you're going to a one-off events, it could be an expo where you're going to have business communication, connections, or it might be something simple as a cooking class. I've been looking at cooking classes. And when you go into these events, you know you can just be yourself because you're not going to be judged, or you might be judged, but you're never going to see the people again. So who gives a shit?
Just be yourself.
So therefore, you be yourself. But again, bringing it back round, if you know 9 out of 10 times that you go to social events, you're not liked, you need to change your behaviours.
Yeah.
You need to change your approach, and you need to work on yourself because you're the problem. Whereas if you're going to 9 out of 10 events, people like you, have only good things to say about you, and the one time you go to an event, there's a group of people that don't like you, they have a problem. Or you just don't fit in with that environment. You don't fit in with that circle. So I think there's 3 things you can work on there, like with your 3, to be better socially, be better socially competent.
You've got 6 in total there, team. You've got 6 in total. So just do all 6, because what's the worst that happens? Listen, okay, we've given you enough on social competence. Okay, please like, please subscribe, comment. We want 50 subscribers by the time we have 20 episodes. This is episode 10, and we need 17 more. Please, just share the video, like, subscribe, comment. It will help us out, please, very much. I've been Mitch. I nearly said I've been Rob. Holy shit, you see that? Stutter, Mr. Stutter like last time. Jesus Christ.
Go again.
I've been Mitch.
I've been Rob.
Thank you, everybody.